our next and last speaker, which is Claire Tutenuit. Sorry. She's Déléguée Générale, the EPE. EPE is one of the main French business and biodiversity initiatives, but she's going to refer today about Act for Nature, which is a major project relating global French companies to biodiversity and to nature. So please, Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Veronica, and very nice to be here again. I have come to speak to you about Act for Nature about 4 or 5 years ago, if I remember well, at the very beginning. And so I'm very happy to be invited again to present how it has developed and evolved, and what are the main results. And it's very timely because we just published bilan of stocktake of what has been happening in the past years. I will start with recalling what it is, and it is really, as you have just said, a very pragmatic approach. We know we don't know much about nature and how to act and how to integrate biodiversity. And science is not giving, as it does for climate, very precise trajectories on everything. So we have taken from the beginning, from 2018, a path of acting, because you know enough, very quickly you know enough to do something. So it's a commitment scheme, and I will give you a very quick overview. The first thing is that there are 10 common commitments that every company committing has to commit to work in these directions. And basically it is to think of nature in everything you do in the business, from strategy to accounting, to value chain activities, to mitigation, dialogue with public authorities, employees, partnerships, and so on, and reporting. And then, in addition to these 10 common commitments, or to make them more precise, the company makes SMART commitments, SMART for specific, measurable, additional, relevant, and time-bound, that are relevant to its business, depending on the very rough first analysis. And it's not so rough because now they're in CSRD, so they know where the pressures are, to make commitment to act. And then what's on the right is important. The first thing is that these SMART commitments are validated as SMART by a stakeholder committee that I will describe further. But it's a collective judgment, and it's some sort of a net, security net, to be sure that the company has not put aside or forgotten something really relevant. It's not an ambition judgment, but it is, yes, these commitments you make are relevant from where you are to what are your pressures, what is the environment you are acting on. And the second thing that is important is that these commitments are signed, and the commitment on the 10 common ones are signed by the CEO at group level. The third thing is that it is dedicated to international groups, because there is a French system that is called Enterprises Committed to Nature, that is rather close in the philosophy, but a little bit more massive in the numbers. So what we have is 67, with Act for Nature, 67 committed companies that are international companies, employing altogether 3.5 million guys. And we have gathered 57 public reports of what they have been doing. And altogether, of course, they make a number of commitments, each of them. So we have evaluated recently 486 SMART commitments. A little bit more on the steering committee. It is really a multi-stakeholder committee, and that's really one of the strengths of this analysis, of this review and validation. It's, of course, business networks. EPE, MEDEF is roughly the BDI, AFEP is a private business association, and UN Global Compact, and these four are actually funding the system. Not very expensive, but funding, together with the companies that are paying now a small fee to commit. And then we have scientific partners, Fondation pour la recherche sur la biodiversité, FRB, is the French counterpart of IPBES, a French partner of IPBES. We have the museum, and we have IDRI, which is a Sustainable Development and International Relations Institute, that is a very highly regarded scientific body in France. And then there are NGOs, which are IUCN, the French committee of IUCN, NOE, which is also an NGO very active in other geographies in France, not only France. And then Alliance, the other ones are ORS and Alliance are more business networks. And OFB is a French office for biodiversity, so it's a representative of the administration, and it is very useful to have them to have the linkage with the French system. And so we have really a review by stakeholders of the commitments. One thing which is important is this process of validation. Which is, as you see, a little sophisticated. I will not give you all the detail, but it is to say that once companies, we set up 2 or 3 application deadlines a year, and for each cycle, we have a review of the commitments by partners. The partners decide what's missing in that. Then there are meetings with the company to explain what's missing and try to negotiate. Could you go further on this or that? And sometimes it's a difficult discussion. And then they have a deadline to send a revised version, then a second review by partners. And finally, there is a whole steering committee that is a partners meeting is really the ones who are reviewing, reading the commitments, knowing the companies, comparing with the business and so on. And finally, you have the whole steerco, which is composed of all the partners plus all the other committed companies. So it is really a peer validation as well as a multi-stakeholder, and decide if, yes, is it smart or not. And then there is a validation. And I can tell you the stakeholders, NGOs and so on are quite demanding, but the peers are also sometimes very demanding because, of course, they project themselves. If I do this, or I could do, why have I been asked to do a little more and not this one? So they are also quite demanding, and the whole thing is really a big step to climb. So that's about the report of that we requested last summer, an analysis of what have you been doing with your commitments. And if you scan this code, you can access the whole report, but I will give you a few extracts. So 60 companies have submitted their individual reports, which is a very high level. I mean, this is 97% of the committed companies that were committed in 2022, actually, because it's not a yearly report. It's every 2-3 years, depending on, as I have said, the commitments are time-bound, and they are time-bound not for 2015, not even for 2030, but for 2-3 years ahead, so that it is a continuous verification in a way. And so we have analyzed all these commitments that's why it is important to have a resource, and we have a very good person. Hélène has been doing all this work of getting the reports and analyzing them. Sorry, my system is not moving down.
Do you need support for the?
Yeah, I don't manage to either. I'm just blocked on this. Sorry, I have to move out.
Caro, can we maybe?
I will manage a different way. Now it's. I will share again. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
For some reason, it was blocked.
I think everybody happens that kind of things.
Yeah,
it's normal.
Okay, so that's better. Let me get back to the whole.
Maybe I'll give you just one information while you're preparing the presentation, because I think it's very important, this point of the report of the companies, of the member companies within these national initiatives, because it really helps the members to just maybe to see what are the challenges, what are the progresses that they made. So France has a very sophisticated system. We have another type of system in Germany, but for instance, within our initiative, the Biodiversity in Good Company, we also have this kind of report. It's every 2 years, and we made process last year to integrate CSRD, so that the progress report that our member companies have to submit every 2 years, it's in a way easier, so to say, and it's also aligned. So this is one of the core points of our association. So it's very important. We always present the reports. Of course, it's everything online, but we also give members the opportunity to present their reports within our internal workshops. We do regular workshops. Actually, I forgot that. Tomorrow is one. It's just for our members, but of course, German companies which are interested in having a look at it, they can, of course, participate to it. So in case you have any interest, just let me know, I'm here. This is how we work as a German national business and biodiversity initiative. So I'm just using the technical difficulties to give you just some information. But Stefanie Eichina, our president, she's always here. She's also here. So in case there's any interest about what we do as a German platform for business and biodiversity, do not hesitate to come to us and contact us today or in the next days. I don't know, Claire, if the presentation...
I'm ready to go on, I think.
Ah, good. So I spoke too long, sorry. You can take over.
No, it's okay. Well, I am not quite, but I'm not sure it will work, but we'll see. So we have this year, what I wanted to say is, it's this reporting, it's a huge number of commitments that we have reviewed. It's 400 and nearly 500. It's about 10 per company. So it is not 200 by company. So it is something that we can review, a company can review, explain, and the steering committee can appreciate. What this has allowed is to see what sort of commitments have been taken. And so you see the breakdown of commitments by the National Biodiversity Strategy 2030 that has been published since. And so we see how the commitments are responding to the main axis of this strategy. And we see that 3 themes are really dominating. One is reducing pressures, and all companies are actually working at reducing their pressures on the 5 pressures, including climate, but not only. Actually, we don't want commitments that are based only on climate. We need other pressures, other themes for biodiversity. Means to achieve these ambitions, that's money, partnerships, and so on, and partnerships with experts and so on. And finally, it's mobilizing all stakeholders, meaning training, value chain efforts, even dialogue with territories or with and so on. So it's what's missing and what we feel we need to have more efforts on is really restoration. They have, of course, restoration activities, especially quarries, linear infrastructures, but it's of course mandatory, so it's not involuntary commitments. Voluntary restoration seems to be a little bit at the very beginning. And of course, there is a reason, is that it's difficult to say, okay, I do some voluntary restoration, but what is it bringing? How can I commit to what? So it's difficult to have strong measures and to have a good valorization of this. No, I think I will have the same problem again.
We are sharing on the big screen, so you can basically just have a look at your screen and
stop the sharing.
Yeah,
and
exactly. I think
back
it's better
to you. Yeah, if you can do it, super. Except I don't really see it, but I will see. I will see on my screen what you are doing. what you are showing. Okay. So that's again assessment on more detailed. I will not comment everything, but we have really had a very fine analysis of what sort of pressures are reduced. And you see sustainable agriculture, land artificialization, the biggies are emissions and ecological management and management plans. Site management plans are really the first thing they commit to. In terms of restoration, they do protection of and preservation of biodiversity, a number of investments, and they do invest in, for example, we have companies in Africa, they are working at investing in the restoration of national parks close to their operations or on their own plantations and so on. Certification and labels are also a significant part. And what's the smallest is really sponsorships. That's more, and nature-based solutions are really the next frontier, I can say. And finally, the last ones are mobilizing all stakeholders. You will have more detail. And then the means, procurement, the value chain, governance. And it's important. They do train now. They go to present these things to the board, including reporting and transparency and so on. So I think I will have you can go to the last chart, key takeaways.
Yes.
This approach, these 5 years of experience have really confirmed that you can act now. Don't wait. I think in the first round we had, one company only committed to have 5 champions of nature within a year. They started from nowhere, and they were not at all in any business touching nature in a way. But they have started to have these 5 champions, and now they are continuing. And both they have improved their data, of course, and they have improved the mobilization of everybody, and they have found a number of ways to do things in their procurement, in their transportation, and so on. So it's a very solid framework to engage stakeholders as well, because you know what you are doing. It's not, it's in your hands as a company. And so we can only invite people to join this dynamic, action-driven, and renewals are proceeding very well, as they really show every 2-3 years there is new commitments made by the company. A company renews their commitments with more ambition, more demands from the steering committee, of course, and real progress. So based on progress, based on what has worked or has not worked. And so we really suggest that you could as well do something in that direction in Germany. So
thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us really a really good overview.